Right. Well, good morning. So good to have all you guys here. Last week, if you were with us, you know we started off a brand new series in the book of Revelation, and we're going to continue that not only this week, but for the next several weeks. But for today, we do have a guest with us this morning. James Jacob is here with us this morning, all the way from India. So when I talk about going to India and spending a few weeks there, James is who I stay with, and we sort of travel parts of southern India and do evangelistic crusades and visit churches and encourage their pastors. And so James, over the last 50 years, has been ministering there in India and starting churches and training pastors and winning people to Christ. And so he'll be able to show you a little bit at the end of the message, some of the things that's going on in India right now. You may have heard or seen on some newscasts here lately within the last month or so. They had a tremendous amount of rain, much more than they normally get during their normal monsoon rains every year. And so there was a lot of flooding, especially in the state of Kerala, which is where James is from. And so he'll be showing you some of those pictures here in a little bit. But in keeping with our series today, James is going to talk to us a little bit about the idea of heaven. And you might, if you're not used to hearing James and listening to him talk, you might catch about every sixth word. So parents of smaller children, you understand this, right? Because when your child talks, you're the only one in the room that knows what they said. That's sort of the way I am with James. He can talk all day, I know every word that he said. And everybody else looks like... Here's the message in a nutshell. All of humanity, since the beginning of time, has been promised and is looking for a city. And God has promised that to us, and He is preparing that for us, and He has shown us the way to that city that we call heaven, and it's through a relationship with Jesus Christ. But I'm going to let James elaborate on that a little bit more. So if you guys would, welcome James Jacob
Amen.
to our stage.
Praise the Lord. Hallelujah. Thank you very much. Good morning. I thank God for this one more opportunity that God allowed me to come to your great country, to see all the children of God, this part of the world. I'm so happy I could be here. As Pastor Brandon said, my English is Indian dialect. I speak 18 different languages. Sometimes it mixed up. So you have to speak to the people according to the way of dialect, the accent. India have more than 1,652 different languages. Just imagine how we're going to evangelize that country unless you know their language. You know, I know 18 different languages, and it is a God's miracle. I never been in the school, never learned any language at all, but by the grace of God, I am speaking. I can read 6 different languages, but till now, I don't know how to write. Have you ever seen this kind of person in the world? And this is the Indian cowboy preaching the gospel to you. Most of you, you know my testimony, and I used to take care of the cows. Born and brought up with a Hindu family. I was searching for the true living God, and I found there is another person in the Bible just like me, and I'm going to talk about him. And his name is Abraham, not Abraham, Abraham. So he is from Chaldean city. A small village name is called Ur. But a small name and small village Ur. And Mesopotamia, where it is located, and it located in present Iraq. And this man was in Iraq, and his father was an idol maker. And he make the idol and he will sell. That was the history said. In those days, there was no the true worshipper of God. At the period of that time, this young man, Abraham, he always looked to the sky and think about God because his dad make the small, small idols and he sell it. Most of paganism, idol worship, not most of, 100%, it spreaded from Babylon. So, in the Bible is Babylon, but today we call it Iraq. Iraq is the center point of all kinds of evils and all kinds of problems, and that's the place God created man. Where He created? He created man in Iraq. Don't be think a different way. So today is a modern world. It is easy to search. It called Babylon. Where was this 4 rivers? Somebody told me that is in Jerusalem. No. Where was God created? Somebody told me that's in Jerusalem. No. Where was the Lucifer in Jerusalem? No. Then where he was? The Bible say, Babylon, it is written in the Bible, 2 countries mentioned in the Bible more time than any other country. One is Israel, another is Babylon. From Genesis to book of Revelation, you can see Babylon beginning to end. The Babylonian mystery, all the idols which came, spreaded to India and other part, this all it originated from Iraq. Once upon a time, they worship idols and other thing. At that time, Abraham, my father was idol maker. He making the idol and he selling. One day he told him, my son, I'm going to find out some other city for our business, and you can sell this and protect. He created lots of idols. He put in the godown, and it was lots of God. He told him, hey, you have to sell it. Okay, Dad, I will do that. And so he was thinking about, there is a God who created all the stars. Why my dad is create these kinds of idol? Well, let me go and talk to this idol inside. He opened the godown. He saw that so many gods, and he talked to them. Hey, God, can you speak to me? If you don't speak to me, you're going to be in big trouble. Talked to him. He did not answer. He took a big stick and he beat them left and right. And all the gods are fall down. And he closed the door. And his dad came. And he asked him, son, did you sell God? No. How was the business? Well, I'm not sell anything. It's still in the godown, all the God. Yeah, you go and see. He opened the door. He seen all the gods are fall, broken down. And he asked, what happened, my son? Dad, while I was outside, I heard the big noisy. And each God, they attack each other. Who is the big in the midst of them? The one God have the big stomach. You created the big stomach. And that God asked the little bitty God, Mickey Mouse, rat. And he told the rat, hey, you itty bitty, I am a big, you know that. And this little rat said, and even though you are big, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? If I come and go through your nose, and you will be big trouble. And another monkey God said, hey, I am the big in the midst of you. I can jump up you. I can jump, and I'm going to bite you. And they had they talk each other, and they beat each other, and all they beat each other, and they all fall down. Then he looked at him, you lie. He asked me, how do you know I'm lying? That God cannot speak. How can you say God? So then who is God? He said, there is a God. Since then, he was searching for the God. He always go to the desert. He looked to the star. That was his hobby, just like me. And what he did, when he was walking the desert, thinking about God, God knows each person is heart beating. One day, Jesus was walking through Jericho, and one person, his name is Zacchaeus, a little fellow, a customs collector, he was hiding on the tree. He wanted to see Jesus. When Jesus passing through, he's scared. He don't want public see. But he was staying there. The heart beating of Zacchaeus. When God came to the tree, he looked to him. He know his heart beating, want to see God, want to see Jesus, hungry, And Abraham had a hungry for God. He want to see God. One day he walked, and God called him. Let us turn to the book of Genesis, chapter 12, verse 1. Now the Lord had said unto Abraham, Get thee out of thy country, and from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, and to a land that I will show thee. And I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee, and make thy name great, and thou shalt be blessed. First time God called him, before he came to know about the true living God. In those days, he don't know about the true living God, but here the first time, Abraham. When you come to the other chapter, then God changed his name. It became Abraham. When God called somebody, his life is changing, even the name also changing. Same thing my life also. I was Indian cowboy, taking care of the cows, look to the sky, who created the stars, I want to know who he is. And my name was Raja Gopal Raja. Then God called him Jacob, Jacob. Can God speak to the people? Yes. Depend to our heart. How much you have thirsty and hungry for the true living God. When you cry unto God, God will answer. I was not a Christian, born and brought up by a Hindu family, idol worshipper, but I am looking for a true living God like Abraham. God changed his name, and God changed my name. And my name became a Jacob, Jacob. One day I asked the Lord, everybody telling me Jacob is not a good name. I said, why? Jacob means is conniver, splendor, deceiver. Lord, I don't want this name. So then God said, okay, your name is changed. What is that, Lord? James, Jacob? Well, what is the meaning of that? Same Jacob. James means is Jacob. Jacob is in Hebrew, in English is James. Don't you know that? Yes. So, God called me, changed my name the same way. Okay, so change, When we hear the voice, if we have hungry, sincerity, we can hear God. Okay, when God called him, he saw him a country which is not on the earth. He seen that country very far away. God opened his spiritual eyes, and he looked that city. God told, he said, leave your family, the country, but I'm showing you another country, you go. He left that country. According to the history and other thing, we believe in God gave the promised land, Palestinian land. In those days, there was no Jerusalem. It's called Canaan, the land of Canaan. When he went there, he took his family, he sojourned, and he stayed in that promised land as a stranger. Even though God showed him that land belongs to you and your children and generation, but in that country he went and he stayed as a strange country. He left his own country and he went there. He stayed as a strange country. Why? Let us turn to the book of Hebrew, chapter 11. Book of Hebrew, chapter 11. Verse 9. By faith, he sojourned in the land of promise as in a strange country, dwelling in the tabernacles with Isaac and Jacob, the heirs with him of the same promise. He went to that country. He stayed as a stranger. Why he stayed there as a stranger? Why he stayed in the tabernacle? Maybe you say there is no bricks and cements in those days. Maybe he don't have any money. No. He was the richest man in those days. In those days they had a good cement, good bricks, because they built the Babel Tower, highest tower. They have technology in those days. There are already big port there. Why he did not build? His vision. His country is not here. He is not going to remain here forever. He looked for another country. Everyone in this world, we are strangers and sojourners and pilgrims. We don't have any permanent place here. How long we going to be here? Maybe 60 years, 100 years, maybe 120 years. We cannot going to stay here forever and ever. There is another place we going. Some people, they think, they're going to be here forever because they have lots of money, lots of property, multi-millionaire and billionaire. No. Everyone on this face of earth, all pilgrims, they are strangers. One day they have to depart from this world. Money don't come with you. Property cannot come with you. What else is come with you? It will come with you, your everlasting life, is Jesus. If we have Jesus, we can go a country which is He making. Did we going to stay here? No. There is another country, another city, God is preparing for you and me. That's the one Abraham, he said, very far away. Now I'm going to tell you, read verse 10. For he looked for a city which hath foundation, though whose builder and maker is God. What a wonderful. He looked for a city. Not Jerusalem, not Israel. He looked for a city whose builder and maker is God. Can God build the house? Yes. If He build, how big? Let me tell you, the whole universe, all the galaxies, all the planets, which is we showing now, this all God not created by hand, but He used only one word, let it be there. Billions and billions of galaxies and stars are up here in the sky, just one word. But He used His hand, creating for two things, His own hand, three things. One is, He created Adam and Eve, created by God, by His hand. He used His finger. What an amazing creation. The rest of the universe and angel, He did not create them by His hand, but He told they came. Adam and Eve, God created by his own hand, then he gave him the breath. He created all the angels. He never gave his breath to any angels. Billions of angels, nope. He never gave his breath to them. He gave only to the human being. Do you know who you are? Where you come from? You come from God. All the human beings. That's why God so loved the world, because you are part of God. The devil wants to steal us and destroy the fellowship. He wants to separate us, but God never leave us nor forsake us, because we came from him. He loves us so much. Whatever way possible, God will bring you back to him. Many times we get away from God, we give up God, but God always cares, but he wants to bring us back to him, build his relationship with you. That's why Bible says his grace is endureth forever. He don't kill us, but he gave us a chance. If we lose the chance, we reject, that's our problem. So, the next things what God did, he used his hand writing the, 10 commandments. And the third one, he built this building. He is the architect. That's what the verse 10 said. For he looked for a city which had foundation, though whose builder and maker is God. In other translation, he said, architect, planner, and builder. If God build a building, what will be? That's the one he visioned. He saw God preparing a house for him. Not only him. In the Old Testament, all the saints of God, all the prophets, including Moses, including David, they also look for this city and they confessed themselves they are stranger and sojourner. They are not belongs to this country, they are belongs to some other country. Now you read verse 14, it says, verse 13 and 14. These all died in faith, not having received the promises, but having seen them afar off, and were persuaded to them, and embarrassed them, and confessed that they were strangers and pilgrims on the earth. Stranger and pilgrim on the earth. They seen a better city. I'm a stranger in this country. I cannot stay permanently here. I have to get out. Same thing, every Christian, you are not belongs to this world. You are belongs to, there is another world, another city. If you want to go to that city, you need passport and visa. Any country you go, you need passport and visa. Coming to this country, I have to get the visa. If I leave my country, I have to get the passport. In the same way, when you want to go to the heaven, you want to go to that city, you need the passport. You need your address. You need all your ID. How are you going to get to go into? Very easy. When you receive Jesus Christ in your heart as your personal Savior, you are sealed. That's your visa to go to heaven. That's the one book of Romans say. You were sealed for the day of resurrection and redemption. Now, why they confessed, we are stranger? Because they have seen a beautiful city, a wonderful city. They say, we want to go there. We don't want this sinful world. You know, the word is stranger means who are not belongs to this country. Every Christian, we are not belongs to this world. We have another city. Let us read why they confessed they are stranger. The verse 14 said, for they that say such a things declare plainly that they seek a country. They seek a country. What? Very plainly they told. Simply, hey, I am not belongs to this country. I am going somewhere there. Okay. And they may had been mindful of that country from whence they came out. They might have had opportunity to have returned. Where they come from. If they have a time, they can go back to that country. But they waited for a better country. So, what is that better country? There is another city, there is another country. It is not belongs to this world. That country will come down out of the heaven. Now, even though they said this all things, verse 16, but they desire a better country that is a heavenly. Not here. They have a better country, heavenly. Wherefore, God is not ashamed to the called their God, for he hath prepared for them a city. He prepared a city for them. What a wonderful. So where is this city? Where it come from? Did it is maybe somewhere here? No. Let us read chapter 12. And when you read chapter 12, it talks about that heavenly Jerusalem. But here, verse 22, sorry. Chapter 12, verse 22, 23. But ye are come unto Mount Zion, and unto the city of the living God, the heavenly Jerusalem, and to an innumerable company of angels, to the general assembly, and the church of firstborn, which are written in heaven, and to God, the judge of all, and to the spirits of just men made perfect. So God prepared a city. Very clearly is talking, God prepared is a heavenly Jerusalem, not this Jerusalem. It is talking about the heavenly Jerusalem. That's the place we going. That's the place we going to dwell. Now we're going to think about this. In the Bible say, first he is seen in the Genesis, Abraham, he is seen that city by faith, and he lived by faith as a stranger, and he traveled by faith as a stranger. He confessed, and all the Old Testament, a true worshipper of God, they know God preparing a better city. Even though God preparing a better city, only in the New Testament believers, they are going to occupy that city. So come back to the chapter 11, Hebrew chapter 11, the last word is 40, 39 and 40. All having obtained a good report through faith, received not the promise, but having provided some better things for us, that they without us should not be made perfect. the New Testament believer. They know this, but a firstborn church, who is that? Who redeemed their life by the blood of the Lord Jesus Christ. As I told you, He created us. He gave the breath. Because of breath, human beings are here. He loves us. So we are a part of God. He wants us to be with Him in that beautiful city. Well, what about the Old Testament believers? And God have a place. He said, my Father had many, many mansions. I'm going to make a place for you. According to this word, it is for the New Testament believers, is going to be in that city. Now, where is this city? When you read in the, so many men of God, they seen this city. When you go to the book of Psalm 102, I think verse 11, it says, God will appear after He build the Zion, and then He will appear in glory. Now, this building is already prepared and built, but it is coming down. Where is it now? Now let us turn to the book of Revelation, chapter 21. We tell you about this building. Chapter 21, words 1 and 2, it says, And I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven, prepared as a bride adored for her husband. This word, what John saw, this one, very far away. And the same city, book of Ezekiel, he saw that city. How big that city? He gave some measurement in the book of Ezekiel, but here the John, he giving a very clear a revelation about the building, that it says is come out of heaven. It's not on the earth. It's coming out of heaven, means is a heaven is there, removing there, is coming down, 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 down. A true story. 8 years ago, NASA, they found some big things is coming down. It looked like, say, white. Then 7 years ago, they found some things is coming down, is going to land on the earth. If it is hit, there will be no earth. And they saw the third time, it looked like some kinds of multi-story building. It is coming down. And someone remembered that. That's the one in the book of Revelation said, the heavenly city, biggest city. Still they're watching that one, getting radio signals and other thing. Where this Jerusalem now? It is in the heaven, but it is will come down. The NASA found and they said, it looked like a big city. First they seen like an ice mountain and other thing. Whether this or that, I am not confirmed, but I know one thing, the New Jerusalem will come down. Now I am going to see this New Jerusalem. The builder and maker is God. How big this one? How big this one? The word 16 and 17 it says, and the city layeth foursquare, and the length is as a large as the breadth, and they measured the city with a reed 12,000 furlongs. The length and the breadth and the height are equal. And he measured the wall thereof 140 and 4 cubit, according to the measures of a man, that is, of the angel. According to the angels and their measurement, if we calculate, you know how big this building, 1,400 miles long, 1,400 miles height, 1,400 miles length. It is a 4 square building and 4 square city. Imagine how big this one. It said literally that building will come down. The Bible is true. Whatever it is written, it is true. This word is a very simple translation. The New Jerusalem coming out of the heaven. If this one land in the Middle East, you know how big it will be, I can tell you. From Boston to Kansas City, in the distance of Boston and Kansas City, you know how long? 1,400 miles. That long. You go this way. It is a 4 square. When it land in the Middle East, it reached part of a European country and all the Middle East. Thus the building is going to be land that big. How many rooms are there? It's my imagination. If each story is a 12 feet height, each story 12 feet, you know how many story you can calculate? 1,400 mile height. According to that, if we have a 12 feet height each building room, 600,000 story building. 600,000 story building. How many people it can fit? Billions and billions. Still you can see some empty rooms are there. If God gave you a 1 acre of land in your room, still you have lots of vacancy there. What an amazing God He created. That's why Jesus said, I am going to my Father's place. He has so many men said, I am going to make it one for you. My goodness, you think about it. If it is one for us, how big that one? It is coming down. It will land literally. If this word is true, it is very plain. There is no other translation or making him, fixing, manipulating. No. I, John, saw the heavenly Jerusalem coming down out of the heaven. It will come. And who is going to be there? Many said, many Christian, the people simply said the name Christian, that cannot take you there. Simply said, I am Christian, I am Catholic, I am Protestant, I am Pentecostal, I am Protestant, I am going. No. The word very clearly said, whose name is written in the book of the Lamb. That's the one, it's a verse 27, it says, and there shall in no wise enter into in any things that defileth, neither whatsoever worketh abomination, or maketh a lie, but they which are written in the Lamb's book of life. Lamb of God is Jesus Christ. Our name must be right. Once you received Jesus, your name is registered in the book of life. See how big building God preparing for you. If you don't have a house in this world, don't worry. See, God preparing it as a better house. And in this world, you have to maintain your home all the time. You have to pay the electric bill, pay the mortgage, you pay this charge and that charge, land tax, building tax. That's too much. When you go to that home, your house, you need not to pay anything. Wonderful house, you know. I don't have much time to explain everything. And I have a DVD and a CD about this heavenly Jerusalem. It's called the Galaxy. You can buy that one. It's only $5. And pray for us continuously. We're going to show some of the picture and what's going on in India. As Pastor Brandon said, the flood. We're going to explain to you some. Can you put that?